Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, we've all been sinking many hours into Dying Light 2 since launch, and I've completed the story campaign and I've still got loads and loads of content to get through. And even when I'm through that, I'll either run through the game again or I'll simply just enjoy the streets of Villador. Now, with all that being said, there are a few things that I have found quite tedious in the game that I would like rectifying, and I'd like to see addition of some features that I think would just make this game even better, and we're going to discuss them today. I've got 8 things that I would like to see implemented in Dying Light 2, and yeah, I just want to talk about them today. So if you do like today's video, hit the like button, subscribe for more Dying Light 2 content, and if there's anything that I don't mention in today's video that you'd like to see in Dying Light 2, leave a comment down below, we'll have a discussion. But yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. So yeah, we've got 8 topics that I would like to discuss today about being implemented in Dying Light 2. Some of them go in depth of reasons why, some of them are just straight up features that I would love to see implemented. Now, number 1 is field of view. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I've been playing Dying Light 2, running in and around buildings, obviously, you know, with quite close quarter rooms, with not much room to swing a cat, I feel like sometimes a zombie could be attacking you at 2 o'clock position right there in your face, and you simply just can't see it. And not only that, you know, just actually traveling around the map, I just feel there's certain situations where I'm just not seeing as much as I'd like to see. And I just think if they increase the field of view for a few reasons, I think it'd make this game a whole lot better. So firstly, again, simply just because when you're getting attacked by mobs of zombies, when you're in close quarter rooms that are quite small, and also, you know, when picking up loot, sometimes you can be standing over a certain weapon or just a certain zombie body to search, and you can't even see the floor below you just because it's so zoomed in. So I just feel like if it was increased a bit, loot would be easier to pick up and all of those good things. So yeah, I feel like field of view should be increased to say 180 degrees. If you think about it, you know, if you're standing there looking in a room, you can see directly to your left and directly to your right pretty easy. If not 180, maybe around 140 to 160 field of view. I just feel that would make a lot of difference and just make the game feel a bit more natural. You know, you're not looking directly at your feet to pick up, as I say, items. You can kind of just see where you need to run a lot easier than you would do at the moment. And yeah, field of view, just a little increase would be a great addition. Now, number 2 is photo mode. Now, a lot of games nowadays have this feature implemented, and for those who don't know, it's just like a bit of a pause menu where you can bring up your current location with no on-screen markers, no mission notifications, no weapons in the bottom left corner, you know, just a free screen so you can capture the beauty of Villador. And I'm surprised that it hasn't been implemented already, to be honest with you. As you know, the game is quite a picturesque game. You know, there's a lot of areas, especially when you get up high on top of, you know, like the bazaar or the VNC tower and certain other parts of the map. You know, the views are incredible, and you know, it wouldn't need a massive overhaul. They don't have to go with anything too fancy. They could simply just be an option when you press the pause button. There's just a photo mode option there, or simply pushing the 2 analog sticks in together. I know Cyberpunk done it like that, where it brings up the menu just basically so you can get a clear screenshot of obviously what you're looking at. Now, number 3 fits perfectly with photo mode, and that is I would like to see some graphical improvements, because for all the reasons I mentioned before, you know, the picturesque scenes in and around the map, all the high points that you can get all the good visuals, I just find that the rendering after say 100 meters in front of you are quite pixelated. And you know, I play other games like Division 2, which was out on the old Xbox, that have since had a 4K 60 frames update, and the visuals are a lot better than this game. And you know, they've had a long time to obviously produce this game. It's been put off for a while. I'm actually surprised at the rendering issues within this game. And you know, there's another thing that really frustrates me, if I'm being honest, the rain effects on the players. It looks like they've just been covered in oil. It doesn't look natural at all. But yeah, I do really want to see some graphical improvements. It's definitely not 4K, it's definitely not 60 FPS, and you know, in this day and age with the next gen consoles, that is not much to ask for. So graphics need a little bit of an overhaul, just to make sure obviously when we're looking in the distance it is as clear as it can be. Now, number 4, something quite simple, and that is a death marker location. And I know it doesn't sound massive, but there's been quite a few times when I'm in a certain building, maybe getting sidetracked away from a mission, where I'll be like, you know, just delving into rooms, looting up and getting things, and it might get to a point where I run into a volatile, for instance, or I might just get overrun by a group of zombies in a small room, and you know, there might be something in there. I might have killed, you know, 20 to 30 zombies, and you want to collect all the tokens, all the scrap and all the resources. And yeah, I just like it when you respawn, you just simply have a death marker location on the map. It'd be simple implementation, and it just make things that little bit easier. Now, number 5, I want to talk about resource balancing, and that is in reference to the drop rates and the crafting costs. So if you've played the game for a while now and you're picking up obviously the blueprints for the rare weapons, you'll know it costs scrap and obviously other resources to craft these, and you know, it can be quite expensive. You know, some of the particular weapons in mind, the likes of the left wing of Glover, the Dying Force, can cost anywhere between 300 to 400 scrap. Fair enough, but the only problem is they have a limited amount of use. I think they both have 16 uses, and once that happens, the weapon is gone. Now, I think that is pretty expensive considering the drop rates, because unless you spend an hour or two grinding out scrap to craft these, it's kind of pointless of wasting the materials because they run out, as I say, so quickly. And then once they do run out, you've then got to grind for more scrap for another hour or so, and it just becomes a little bit tedious. So I feel like the drop rates need to be improved, because you can pick anywhere between 1 to 5 scrap per every other zombie, via every other wardrobe, via every other bin. And yeah, I just feel at the moment it's a bit out of balance, and it kind of makes the weapon blueprints a bit pointless to track down. So yeah, resource balancing is my number 5. Now, number 6 fits perfectly with the resource balancing, if I'm being honest, and that is weapon blueprints. So, like we touched on before, the crafting costs are quite high, and for what they are, it's kind of pointless to even bother crafting them at this point, especially when you're in the end game, because let's take the cyber hands, for instance, that you can pick up once you completed the broadcast mission. They're only level 4 knuckle dusters. Now, obviously, once you've gone past level 4, which you will do pretty quickly, it kind of makes them useless. Now, anything that you get, like the cyber hands, for instance, or the Dying Force ranged weapon from obviously the whole rigmarole of getting the ducks, going onto the doomage, you know, that's quite long-winded to pick something up which runs out so quickly. You've got the Mistress sword, for instance, as well, which is pointless from the point of when you even pick it up, because I don't actually understand what that's supposed to do. It does next to no damage. The Mario boots is another great example. A level 1 grey pair of boots, double jumping after 3 jumps doesn't interest me at all, and I'd just like to see some type of upgrade system for obviously all the blueprints, similar to that of obviously all your accessories, consumables, etc, etc, and it'll also make them more viable in game. For instance, the Dying Force, for what you've got to go through, as I touched on before, to get them, for what it is, for how much scrap it costs to craft it, for the amount of time that you get, makes the whole item a pointless exercise. And I would just like to see that particular weapon maybe like your UV torch, where obviously it's on like a cooldown system rather than 16 limited uses, and you know, make it cost a fortune to upgrade these things by all means. But at the moment, as it stands, these rare blueprints just don't cut it for me, and it is a waste, because some of these have great potential. And yeah, upgrading weapon blueprints is my number 6. Now, 7 and 8 kind of coincide together. They're both inventory functions that I would like to see implemented, just to make obviously the itinerary and things like that a whole lot easier to use. So firstly, I'd like to see some type of in-game markers. So for instance, junk marker. So if you picked up weapons, gear that you don't want to do, you can simply press like LT to mark it as junk, and you can do that with obviously all the items, whether it's in the backpack or in your obviously weapons, accessories, and consumables. And that would just make it so when you go to the vendors to sell them, you can just click sell all junk. I just think it makes it a lot easier. Also, from obviously a junk perspective, maybe if you don't want to sell it all because you've got tons of money, there's an option to deconstruct your junk, because let's face it, as we've touched on in this video already, scrap, pigments, batteries, all these type of resources which you use to obviously upgrade all your crafting blueprints or your accessory upgrades and things like that is much needed, and it doesn't actually make sense that you cannot deconstruct things to get resources. I think that would be a massive implementation and also improve people's experience with Dying Light so they're not grinding out too much. I love a grind, but it seems pointless of grinding scrap, which is just a common grey resource. And finally, on number 7, I'd also like to see, as well as a mark junk button, also a mark favourite button. For instance, like I've touched on in this video before, when you're crafting level 4 blueprints like the Dying Force, like the Mistress Sword, like the Cyber Hands, and also, you know, like the Mario Boots. These are grey items. You can quickly sell these without a care in the world. But for instance, I don't want to sell the Mario Boots because regardless of them being very poor, I'm never going to get them again. So just being able to mark them as favourite would help, especially if they're part of some build. I understand people will say, yeah, you can just put them in your stash, but you might want to use them at certain points in the game and have a build ready and have them on you for spare of the moments activities that they may be needed. And finally, number 8 kind of coincides with that whole build diversity, and that is loadouts. Because as we know, at the moment, Dying Light has got a few different gear sets. You can be a tank, which obviously increases all your damage resistance. You can be a brawler, which increases your one-hand weapon damage with a lot of stamina bonuses. You can be a medic, which is based around healing effectiveness and health regeneration. You've got ranger, which is about obviously long-range weapons. And yeah, you may want to use a different gear set with different weapons. For instance, you may want to use a bow or a crossbow with obviously your ranged gear set. And then you may want to whip out the old samurai sword and equip your brawler set. Or there may be a hybrid build that you're interested in. Whatever your reasons, it should be a lot more easier than obviously going into your menus and switching about all your gear. And you know, just a simple system where once you've got everything in place, you can maybe press the start button and then, you know, save to a slot 1 of your loadout section, and maybe you can have like say between 5 and 10 loadouts. I don't see why you need any more than that, but you never know. And again, it just makes the game a lot more accessible. You know, you can have your brawler set while you're wiping a horde of zombies out, but then, you know, there might be a part of the mission where you're just looking for an item with your sense skill, and you just need to switch it out for obviously, you know, the relevant gears to increase all your sense abilities. And yeah, I just think it'd be a great implementation. And that concludes my list of improvements I would like to see within Dying Light 2. Let me know in the comments if any of the things I've mentioned you agree with, or some things that maybe I haven't mentioned that you would like to see implemented within Dying Light 2. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you did like it, hit that like button, subscribe for more Dying Light 2 content, and yeah, that's the video.